months. Okay, so just to sort of give some of you a perspective, you can see over here. Let me see if I can grab my little pointer here. I'm trying. Nancy, a little help with the pointer. You can see the number 1 at the top left, that's week 1. Then we go down to week 2, week 3, week 4, etc. So you can see how in the beginning, those first, 6 weeks or so, sleep is really disorganized, and that is normal. It's not until you get back down to about the 6 to 8 week mark, sometimes a little later than that for babies, that you start to see this first stretch. Trying with the pointer here. The first stretch of nighttime sleep, there we go, start to consolidate here. When I talk about newborns, you want to remember that you do want to adjust your baby's sleep for prematurity. So if your baby was born early, let's say your baby was 2 weeks early, if I say 6 weeks, in your case, you're really going to consider your baby to be 4 weeks. Once your baby moves past the 6-month age adjusted, then you can stop adjusting anymore. More about that in just a second. But basically, what I want to sort of illustrate with this chart for you guys is to know that in the beginning, the first 6 or 8 weeks, it's completely normal to have totally irregular night sleep. Day is night, night is day. You're all over the map. We don't have high expectations for lots of consolidated sleep those first few weeks. Once you start to see some social smiling in your baby, once you start to see a reduction of nighttime pooping with your baby, those are really great signs that your baby's brain is starting to mature, and you're going to start to see that consolidation of sleep. See, it first starts to happen here. The first consolidation of sleep you start to see is at the bedtime, that first stretch. Okay, so more about this as we go through, but love this graph and love how it really shows you how baby sleep gets nice and regular as you go through these first 5 months. Okay, so we're going to go a little week by week. The first week is the honeymoon. I sometimes sort of say, disregard whatever your friends are telling you about their baby in the first week, like, oh, my baby's such a great sleeper, or really, this is the honeymoon for everyone. Whatever happens in this week, focus on recuperating, bonding with your baby, resting whenever you can. The American Association of Pediatricians does recommend room sharing for babies. For at least the first 4 months, so a co-sleeper, a crib, or a bassinet set up in your room is something that you might consider thinking about. You're going to, throughout the whole newborn period, be wanting to nap your baby frequently. Every 45 to 120 minutes max of wakeful time is actually what you're looking at for your baby. Sometimes babies are only awake for 20 minutes or 25 minutes before they're ready to go back to sleep. So this first week, be lots of holding, soothing, rocking, resting, sort of get the hang of things with your baby. Weeks 2 through 6. Now is the time. Yeah, Nancy.
Hey, Meg.
Yes.
Meg. Um, I made these slides, so I wasn't thinking about something when I put this slide in about this tiny baby. I was trying to narrate bringing a tiny baby home from the hospital the first week, the honeymoon week, but looking at this picture and listening to you talk and seeing the text that I put next to this tiny baby sleeping in the car seat about encouraging the baby to nap frequently. I just want to put a safety reminder in there in that a very young and very small baby should not be napping regularly in the car seat. There is evidence that their oxygenation is decreased in that position. Partly it's positional, partly it's the is documentation of decreased oxygenation. So when possible, your baby should be laying flat or in a tummy-to-tummy hold in a carrier, but not scrunched in a car seat. Of course, you should transport your baby in a car seat, but that is not the optimal place for a young infant to nap.
Okay, thanks, Nancy. Okay, so as we move on to weeks 2 through 6, honeymoon's over a little bit. Your baby's becoming more wakeful. Try to figure out what soothes your baby. Some babies like shushing. We always encourage swaddling. Always swaddling with the baby's arms down will help to prevent that sort of pushing, how they sometimes try to push out through their swaddle. Of course, it helps with the startle reflex, babies kind of flailing their arms, and they don't have great control of their arms at this age. So we always recommend swaddling. You're focusing on nursing. If you're choosing or able to do that, try to learn your baby's sleepy signs, meaning do they sort of slow down? Do they sort of start to, blink their eyes more slowly, look off into the distance? Don't feel like you have to be overstimulating your baby with lots of toys. Just simple interaction, looking at your face, and sort of getting the hang of each other is really the most important thing in this stage. As you approach your 6 weeks from due date, you are expecting your baby's fussiness to increase and peak. That's a normal part of circadian rhythm maturation. We believe it's the sort of the emerging sleep rhythm sort of competing with the wakefulness in the baby in the evening. And so a lot of times you get the evening fussies. Okay, that's really common, and we do expect that to increase and peak up to age 6 weeks. Then it tends to taper off a bit. If you can during this time, it's a great idea to at times put your baby down in, like Nancy said, a flat sleep environment like a crib or a bassinet or a co-sleeper. If you can try to put your baby down when they're actually awake, conscious, we sometimes say awake and aware, and see if your baby is a little sleepy and getting ready for a snooze. She may actually close her eyes and do it on her own. And off you go. At just 2 to 3 weeks, you can start practicing that sensation of getting your baby having a hang of actually putting herself to sleep at this age. Um, you want to continue to nap your baby frequently. And now is the time you want to think about your baby's room environment. Remember we have past webinars on recording, room temperatures are cool. I'd much rather see you err on the side of a cool room. And the winter's coming. Don't think you have to have your heat cranked up to 75. In fact, you don't. It's always better to err on the side of cool with your baby. You're not over bundling. Checking your baby's core temperature is a good assessment of if they're too hot. If they feel hot to the touch, if they feel clammy or sweaty, they probably are over bundled. So as we're getting in towards the winter months, just be making sure you're not having hot, stuffy rooms, and that you're not over bundling your baby. As you move past that 6 week mark, again, the social smiling starts to develop, and reduction of nighttime BMs. And now you're starting to see your baby have the ability to have an earlier bedtime. You want to try to So this will actually help you. You use darkness in the evening to help your baby's bedtime drift earlier now. So a lot of times those first 6 weeks, your baby might not be going to bed until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, sort of having mini naps during that late evening period where you might be sort of up, maybe baby's in the seat, baby sort of snoozing while you're doing stuff around the house or watching a show. As you get into the 6 to 7 week mark, see if you can actually think about having your baby in more of a longer term sleep location. Like maybe you can actually swaddle your baby up and try to put him in the bassinet if you're choosing to sleep your baby in a crib or bassinet. And so instead of having these sort of mini naps all evening, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock before your bedtime, now if you actually keep your baby's little body in the darkness, in a cool, quiet environment, we recommend using a white noise machine to help mask some environmental sounds. Now what you actually start to see is those little mini naps start to consolidate into those first long stretches of sleep in the evening. This is the time when you want to preface all of this with a little bedtime routine for your baby. It doesn't have to be long and complicated. At this age, if it seems a little awkward or it's not really working to be reading stories to your baby, that's okay. You can continue to practice that during the day is great. But even simple things like turning on a white noise machine, dimming the lights, playing some soft lullabies, swaddling your baby, having a feeding very close to bedtime. These are all bedtime routine type of elements that you want to start doing in a regular pattern. If you can try to put your baby into their crib when they're still aware at bedtime, that's going to be helpful. If it's your desire to have your baby learn to be able to fall asleep on their own. This is also the time where if you would like at some point for your baby to sleep in their crib, you'll want to try to practice crib sleep at least during the day for the naps. Babies are developing really strong associations to their sleep environments and locations. So even if you're doing some type of co-sleeping, whether it's baby in the bed next, baby in the crib next to the bed, if you are actually physically co-sleeping, or if baby's crib is in your room, now is the good idea during the day. Again, if it's your ultimate goal to start sleeping your baby in their crib, so they're getting used to that environment. And even if it just means practicing a nap or two a day, that's okay. You're just starting early practice. You're going to continue to sleep your baby frequently. You want to keep in mind that the only thing controlling your baby's naps at this stage is sleep pressure. Okay, so naps are going to be disorganized. I'm going to explain a little bit more. About that. So what that means is sleep pressure or homeostatic pressure is your baby's sleepiness. Okay, how tired are they? And so nap length is restoring that sleep pressure to different extents. So for example, a little mini 20-minute cat nap doesn't get you the same amount of wake time as a nice hour and a half nap, for example. So you want to be aware that the time your baby needs to sleep is going to be changing based on the length of the nap your baby just had. Those nice regular naps that are lasting, an hour to 2 hours or even more. You may have some of those. You probably will have those during this age, but now is to keep your baby rested, watch for sleepy signs, practice ideal environments, practice swaddling, and you're looking at the end of this stage at about 16 weeks or so. Some babies it's a little sooner. A first regular morning nap may start to develop. And that would typically be happening about 1.5 to 2 hours after morning wake time. Now, this is for a little, 16-week-old. That nap time may be later for those of you who have older babies, 5, 6, 7 months. That window of wakefulness in the morning would actually be a little bit longer. Okay, so let's get to the frequently asked questions I know you guys are waiting for. I wanted to just sort of give you a quick sense what we're looking for in those first few slides, which is keeping your baby rested, mindful of the sleep environment, practicing putting your baby down awake and aware, starting a bedtime routine. Okay, these are all important things to start thinking about. But what happens when your baby won't sleep anywhere but on you, right? Maybe some of you are actually holding your babies right now. I often have to sort of laugh at my own self, and I'm an experienced mom. With my third, I remember, Nancy, maybe you remember this, I was complaining to Nancy saying, I can't get any work done, I can't put the baby down, this is exhausting, I have 2 other kids. And Nancy said, why are you telling me this? You know what to do. Put the baby in the baby carrier, get on your exercise ball, and get in front of your computer. So the point is, don't be afraid to soothe your baby, okay? Yes, it's really important. If you'd like your baby learning some independent sleep, you want to practice that, sure. If you feel up for it, practice it several times a day. But the bottom line is your baby has to nap at this point. And so if soothing, holding, rocking, bouncing, going for a walk in the stroller, if this is what you have to do to get your baby napping, it's okay. Um, if you're really struggling and you're really, your baby really is, you are the only thing your baby will tolerate for a nap, sometimes what you can try to do is, and this would be during an observed environment during the day, okay, would be to see if you can get your baby in an inanimate object for sleep. Okay, so you're sort of stepping down the soothing. If your baby wants like full on body contact, rocking, holding, maybe you can put your baby in a swing or a baby seat or a baby cradle, something that is designed for sleep for your baby, but not that you're going to be using all night, but that you're going to, again, be using it under observed conditions during the day for safer sleep. And so maybe you can get your baby sleeping in the swing. As your baby gets used to a swing, you can do things like put the swing in an ideal location, turn down the amount of swing or the speed of swinging. You can start to get your baby used to motionless sleep. You can, using the baby cradles or baby seats, if you have it on vibrate, you can do things like turn off the vibration. You can manipulate your baby's schedule when the time comes, using those sleep associations you've developed. So you can start to, again, sort of trade down the soothing. If you're exhausted and you'd like your baby to nap in a place that's not on you, you start to sort of offer your baby different things. But again, keep in mind the bottom line is you've got to keep your baby rested. For nursing, you may